After last week's climactic series finale to Amphibia, we were lucky to get the creator of the show himself, Matt Brawley, to join us here on Cartoon Universe for a live Q&A with him and the cast, with lots of amazing details and fun moments we're going to talk about. But the most surprising revelation was that Matt Brawley had put some thought into an Amphibia follow-up film, and what that would look like.
I think about a movie a lot, and I think about the kinds of things that I would want to see and sort of like where the story is and what we haven't done. And I'll just tell you right now, the movie would be a time travel movie. And the reason being is that I want to see Leaf and Beryl interact with our modern day characters. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like it would be the best way to kind of create a satisfying new story. Even though we have this time skip, even though we have, you know, something that feels very satisfying and conclusive, it would be a great way to give payoffs to something you didn't even know you wanted. Like, you know, again, the Planters meeting their first descendant, or Beryl getting more screen time, or like, that stuff excites me. So if that's something you want to see, I mean, I'll never say never. I think that if you make enough noise and that's interesting, it can happen. I think movies are a little bit different and special because it's not the continuation of like this 3-season arc. So that would be kind of the perfect way to get to see these characters again on the screen, I think.
It's one of the top shows on Disney Plus, so if Disney's smart, they'll use that as a way to just transfer more Amphibia fans right over there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Animation's so slow, though. You know, it takes so long.
The series ended with Ivy revealing that there is an undiscovered land on the other side of Amphibia's planet, leaving fans to wonder what relevance, if any, it could have to future stories. And Matt had some really cool answers for why this content went undetected, and the cast had some fun ideas about what their characters could get into there as well. But really quick, I'm going to remind you guys that this will likely be our last Amphibia livestream, which means it's your last chance to get an autographed print from your favorite Amphibia voice actors, including posters with the whole cast signing. I'll put the link in the Streamly shop in the description down below so you can check it out. It should be open for another week or two after this video goes live. Now back to Matt Brawley and the cast with what they had to say about this new continent.
And as far as like why like it's undiscovered, I have like such a stupid headcanon-y like explanation that, and this is it, hear me out, maybe it's crazy, maybe something to do with the moon's absence has changed the like geography of like Amphibia, and like maybe this thing has like risen up, you know what I mean? Like I think there's like something very cool to explore there, but that's all I can think of, honestly.
Like a little amphibious Atlantis rising back up.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I think it would be really cool to see Polly and Sprig and Ivy kind of go off on their like own adventures and stuff, and like I said earlier, like Polly can like now build things, and they could be like, you know, discovering things Indiana Jones style, but also with like robots and stuff, and like discover new continents and worlds. That would be pretty cool.
New continent would be really, really awesome. And I've been getting a lot of messages from fans and everything talk about that. So, but I think it'd be really cool. There's a lot of adventures that they could have there, and possibly maybe some cutscenes explaining other stuff about like their parents and everything. But yeah, I mean, all of that would be awesome.
One of the most interesting moments of the show was of course when Anne seemingly died but was brought back as a clone by a godlike figure, leaving pretty much every fan asking what exactly this meant for Anne, if it was really her, or essentially a new person who just believed themselves to be Anne.
Yeah, so with that scene and the way it was written, it's funny because like everything I do comes from like a character point of view or kind of necessity for the story. And for me, it was important to honor her sacrifice and not like undo it completely, because that would feel somewhat cheap. And then in addition, I liked the texture it gave to the Guardian character of him kind of treating everything like files, you know what I mean? Control C, Control V, and just kind of how this being works and operates. So it was kind of those two things that drove the decision to write it that way. In as far as like her soul, and those are some big questions that, you know, philosophical questions that the show doesn't have answers for, because like those answers don't exist in life. You know what I mean? Where it's like, You guys know the ship of Theseus, that kind of philosophical exercise where it's about a ship that if you change its parts over time to the point where every part has been replaced, is it the same ship? It's kind of like that, where it's like, well, that's a question for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's more of a philosophical question than something I would have a hard answer for.
Seeing the girls aged up 10 years was one of the most heartwarming moments of the show, but now that it is all over, we asked Matt if there was anything he would change looking back, and what his process was for creating this particular ending.
A lot of this was based on my personal experiences with friendship and this kind of beautiful idea that, you know, you drift apart and you grow independently, and then over time, it's like magic. You'll find each other again and reconnect. And after having grown independently, you've brought these new experiences together. For me, like, I had these incredible friendships when I was young, and we drifted apart. And, you know, I was so amazed to reconnect with them and to find that, like, I still loved them. You know what I mean? Like, they were sort of part of me. And I think that for the ending with the girls, it was really important for me to show that, you know, in your life, these big changes will happen, and that's okay. You'll be apart from these people who are so important to you, but they'll always sort of be with you as well, in a way. Like, they'll always be part of you. And for me, it was very important to kind of showcase that, especially because this show has always been about sort of the girls being separated, growing as people, and then coming back together. Like, even at the very beginning in Amphibia, kind of the best thing that's ever happened for them was to be separated. You know what I mean? Where it's like Anne gets dropped with frogs, Sasha gets dropped with the toads, Marcy gets dropped with the newts, and for almost the first time in their lives, they're able to grow, like, on their own, without being kind of like defined by one another. And it's a kind of beautiful thing. And I think it's such a testament to their bond that they find each other again. And really, that's what my intention was, is that, you know, if you do drift apart, that's okay. And that the kind of currents of life and love will end up bringing you back together again.
With the series at its end, we thought it would be fun to ask Matt and the cast what kind of episodes they wish they could have seen made, with a lot of really fun answers.
But in COVID, I was told that if you give one episode back to the studio, it will really help, like, everyone get through kind of like this time. So we did. And that one episode was actually slated to be a mandated holiday episode. So it was going to be another Halloween special. So there wasn't going to be any continuity in it. You know what I mean? It was going to be a banger, though.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh my God. I mean, one of my biggest regrets on the show is, like, never getting to do any stop motion. I love stop motion. I love it. You know what I mean? So, like, that was like my big dream, was to do some kind of crazy stop motion, like Halloween. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been so beautiful, and to see the characters in, like, in clay dimensions, and that would have been, it would have cost an arm and a leg, though. So maybe my thinking was in the wrong.
I think Hop Pop, just judging from the ending scene where he's with Sylvia, okay, they get together. They would probably open up a B&B to bring in wayward frogs.
I love it.
Yes.
That's so sweet.
With a vegetable and fruit stand, right?
In the back, there would have to be a little theater so Hop Pop could act.
A theater.
And there'd be a captive audience. That'd probably be the pay for staying at the B&B. And it'd be a nice arc, because I always, when I first saw the character and he had the book, oh, so you're a failed actor, I was thinking, oh, I wonder what they're going to do with this. And so here's the arc. Now he gets to act whenever he wants to. He's got a B&B because he's learned through his love of Anne that he was originally, you know, against her. Okay, we'll take her in, but, you know, now he loves it.
That's amazing. He loves strangers.
Yeah. He likes the adventure.
Dang, I want to know more about Mrs. Croker and her, you know, her real love life and all the shenanigans she got into when she was younger. Just, and what would she sound like when she was younger, and just
Same voice.
Yes.
So,
Hot Kroger. I want a Hot Kroger episode where you like go back in time and you get to see her, and you
That'd be
just
cool.
like, oh, hello, honey, how's it going? Like just see her flirting and stuff. Like, oh, even as a baby, hello, like her first middle school dance, like something like something just so like relatable that you could just
The show had such an emotional ending, but if anything can top it, it was probably the end of the interview when Matt got to talk about what it all meant to him.
for me, this episode was so emotional because Anne saying goodbye to the planters and Amphibia was happening at the exact same time that I was saying goodbye to Anne and the planters and Amphibia. And for me, it's one of those things where like, oh man, this is actually making me emotional. I can't believe it. Anne believes in the end that she will see them again. She has faith that she will. And Marcy and Sasha have returned to her. So why not the planters? And in that sense, and in that the vibe of that feeling, I too believe that one day I will be reunited with this show and this crew. That's all, but I'm so grateful, and it was such a marvelous opportunity to tell this story and share it with you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching.
Well, you just got me to cry a third time, so thank you.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Being able to host this interview was amazing, and it's done in large part because of the sales for these autographed prints at the Streamly shop. While I hope an Amphibia movie does get made one day, I can't say if it will happen, so this may be your last chance to get these prints if you really want one. So don't miss out on it if you do. See you guys next time.